Today I fucked up by using Zipcar. This happened today. My girlfriend and I live in separate apartments in Brooklyn, but we share a storage unit near her place. I'd gotten a Zipcar subscription for a trip last month, which left me with a monthly fee that I was looking to justify. So I reserved a car for an hour and a half to go pick up some of my crap. That's a half hour to get there, a half hour to pack, and a half hour to lug the stuff up to my place. This will become important later. I apparently took longer than anticipated packing things up, and, as I'm pulling up to my place, I realize that the meter on my reservation is nearly up. Don't really love that you have to anticipate your trip down to the minute, but figure they'll just charge me for an extra hour and it'll cost me another $15. Boy was I wrong. Parking is scarce, so I double park, throw on the hazards, exit the car, shut the driver's side door, and go to start unloading my stuff. This is odd. I didn't lock the car, and yet the door doesn't open. I know, I'll use my phone to unlock it. You use the Zipcar app to unlock their rentals. That's strange, the doors remain locked. This is when I start to realize that when the reservation for your Zipcar runs out, they don't just hit you with a fee, they unceremoniously lock you out of the car completely. So here's this car, double parked on a busy road, blocking some other poor guy's car in, with all my stuff locked inside. And the best part, my cat's in there. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I'd spent the night at my girlfriend's, and brought my cat to stay with us. After shoving all my crap into the car, I'd loaded Kinko in for the trip back to my place. So now she's trapped inside the car, locked in her carrier, on the first official day of summer. WTF. I call Zipcar. I grit my teeth and calmly explain the situation to an insufferably chipper customer service representative for a company that I'm beginning suspect doesn't have my best interests at heart. I tell her that her company has locked my things inside of their car. I tell her that her company has locked my cat inside of their car. I tell her that it is hot out. She asks for my ID number. I tell her that her company has locked my ID inside of their car. She asks for the last 4 digits of my credit card. I tell her that her company has locked my credit card inside of their car. She says something along the lines of, "Well, that's a pickle." It's around this time that I'm approached by an elderly man who announces himself as the owner and operator of the car, which is now obstructed by this iMobile rental car, take all my shit device. He asks if I could kindly move the vehicle, because he's experiencing a medical episode and is about to drive himself to the emergency room. WTF. I explained to the customer service representative that there's now a very real chance that a courteous, elderly bystander may die, because her company has decided to suddenly and without warning transform the car I had rented into a large, immovable hunk of crap. I tell her that this is unacceptable, that if it were her, she would not want to die because an uncaring service representative of an uncaring car rental company chose to value their rental policy over a human life. She thinks this over. She asks if I can hold. A minute goes by, then 2, 5, 10. A man is dying. I am freaking out. Something must be done. The garage where I was supposed to drop off the car is actually very close to my apartment. I run to it. I find an attendant there, and I told him the story, albeit with less color that you read now. I ask him to unlock the car. He tells me he might get fired if he does. I tell him that there are lives on the line. That the fate of an elderly man and a very good cat rest in his hands. He stares off into space, and for a moment I can almost see the conflict inside of him, as the pragmatism of his intellect wrestles with the better angels of his heart. He looks back at me. He asks where the car is. Soon, my cat is free and an elderly man tragically drives himself to the emergency room. Oh, and the late fee I expected? It was easily more expensive than the entire trip. Fuck you Zipcar. Too long did not read. I rented a Zipcar, but underestimated how long I would need it. So Zipcar locked me out with my cat inside, and blocking an old man from driving himself to the hospital. Ah yes, Zipcar. I got a car that was actively leaking brake fluid and almost killed me. I pulled over into a parking lot and they asked me to drive the car back? Absolutely not, the brakes barely worked. They then sent over a young employee who had to get it towed to a mechanic. I stopped using them after that, but somehow got charged the following year even after cancelling, and had to dispute it with my credit card company. Cat tax. Counter to all the supportive comments. Did you not read even the most basic FAQ about the pricing and lateness? This is a bonkers story. I have been considering getting a subscription, but that over now. So you're the asshole who made me walk 10 blocks because there is an issue with your reservation. Today I fucked up, had a brain fat, and told my PTSD assessment therapist that I loved him. So I'm in the process of both getting help and treatment for PTSD as a result of childhood abuse. Blah blah blah. It's a whole anxiety-inducing mess, and during this talk we talk about some really dark things like intrusive thoughts, social isolation, flashbacks and nightmares. All very very serious things and topics. My brain's a malleable bit of putty though that falls in quick and hard into routines. Essentially, my girlfriend's been a lot more free lately with uni finishing for the year, so we've been basically calling every night, and I always end every call with a happy I love you. Cut back to the assessment. I have literally just finished a monologue about how it has left me with a fundamental belief that I am worthless and how that affects literally every aspect of me deeply, and he's gone to finish up the session and briefly says that basically he's going to discuss this with his supervisor and call me back later on in the week. He says goodbye, and then like a fucking moron, I go, "Okay. I love you." Less than 33 inches in a really cheerful tone, smiling and everything. My brain genuinely reverting and believing that I am talking to my girlfriend. I immediately begin profusely apologizing and explain that it's because I'm so used to saying it to my girlfriend at the end of every phone call. Thank God he laughs it off and we hang up immediately after. I now have total understanding of every single teacher or person who's worked with kids that brains have reverted to that state while not at work. I want to bury myself alive. Too long did not read. Had a brain fart at the end of my assessment for PTSD and thought I was talking to my girlfriend. Proceeded to very cheerfully tell the person assessing me that I loved him. It's okay bruh. It's like calling your teacher, mom. Brain fat thumbs up. My surgeon once said, "Love you, honey," when hanging up after I had to call him in the middle of the night. What makes this even funnier is that you have a typo in the title, making this a story about a double brain fart. I have ended multiple phone calls with my boss by saying, "Bye dad, love you." He sounds just like my dad on the phone and is thankfully very understanding. TIFU. My work friend's house burned down and I thought it was a joke. So my work best friend, call him Richie, terrible name but it's not his. Now this morning Richie messaged me asking, "So what do you do with $500,000 when your house burns down?" So I made it out like he should start a life of crime and I said, "I'll steal whatever is left of your house." Then I ended this terrible conversation with, "I'm just chill like that." All quotes are copy, pasted from the messages. But I just checked his Snap story and, Jesus I want to cry so badly and tell him I'm really sorry. I hope that he didn't think I had checked his story or maybe it was a bit of comic relief but I think I'm going to die. Richie's story was a picture of the fire, then all the donations his family has gotten. He has opened my messages since, but hasn't responded. I'm not sure if he knows that I hadn't heard about it, but the last shift we worked together is the last one, as he has quit. TLR work friend posed what I thought was a theoretical about what if a house burned down. But his house actually had. Update. Yes, I had messaged him before I posted, but I didn't think I'd said it very well. Please stop assuming my first thought was clout. Richie did not quit because of insurance. He has 2 other jobs and can't work at the fast food restaurant we work at. We're both 16, not adults, so I feel mostly bad that there's not that much I can do. He told me he messaged me because I would have something funny to say because I didn't know. So we're all good now, and I'll probably give him a couple $100 from what I was saving to use on my birthday. We're 4 days apart so my party is the day before his birthday, so he can have a present. Just apologize. You went with the tone, he probably wanted that to help cope. It wouldn't hurt to offer some specific assistance he may be in need of. It took you more effort to write out this post than it would have taken you to write a simple, "I'm so sorry. I thought you were joking." I don't understand why the post came first in your list of priorities. Hopefully the donations his family has received will be enough for them to rebuild their home. Yeah, literally just say you're sorry and thought it was a hypothetical. So message him, not us? Just tell him you thought he was joking until you checked his latest story at the time, which is the truth. If you can, donate some money, apologize and ask him how he's holding up and if he needs anything. Maybe just call him instead if texting, but if he doesn't reply just shoot him a text. He's got bigger issues evidently, so he might just be busy, but you guys will be fine emo.